This is probably the
Green 18! Green 19!
Every single week, I put my freaking heart and soul into this. I study my ass off. I don't go out there and laugh. It's not funny.
When we add up all those inches, that's gonna make the fucking difference between winning and losing.
If you want to crown them, then crown their ass. But they are who we thought they were.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another exciting episode of the Long Balls. I'm one of your balls. We got two other long balls joined. The prick's not joining us tonight, though. JBONE's missing again.
emergency at the coal mine.
We're sans JBONE. But this is our first show post-Christmas, so Merry Christmas, everybody. Did Santa, was he kind to you, Seth? I saw everyone posted pictures of their action figures. Did you get more toys than your kids?
I didn't, man, because I stay so active throughout the year. There's really nothing left to get at Christmas time. My mother-in-law did give me a $200 eBay gift card, so I got that kind of burning a hole in my wallet. But I'm waiting for the right piece to show up to pull the trigger on. But the kids, yeah, man, it was awesome. It looks like a tornado hit a daycare in my house right now. There's so many toys everywhere.
Nice. What about you, Jordan? Did you get everything you want? That Red Ryder BB gun?
So, I mean, yeah, Christmas was good. We don't really do a whole ton of presents in my family anymore. Like, once we hit a certain age, my mom was like, you guys are too old for this shit. She buys my daughter a bunch of stuff, so that's kind of what we worry about. But yeah, Christmas was good. We still celebrate till the 6th. My wife is Hispanic, so they do Three Kings Day, which is January 6th, which is the Epiphany. So Christmas started on Christmas night for us, and now it goes till January 6th. It's like Hanukkah.
I love that. Christmas starts for me November 1st and goes through the New Year. So I get it. You can't just give it up. Yeah, and I don't really get gifts or give gifts anymore. As an adult, it's like, what do you want for Christmas? It's like, I don't know. I just buy everything that I want all through the year. It's not like I'm waiting for Christmas and like, I'll just let somebody else buy that for me. But it's fun. You get to visit family. Since I travel a lot for work, it brings me back to Indiana, which can bring us to...
We've got to be the dumbest team in America.
We couldn't complete a pass.
We give games away.
We couldn't do diddly poo offensively.
We give them away.
We got to totally kick the second half. We couldn't make a first down or performance.
I'll go first just because I was at the game, that atrocious Monday night game last night. And I was going to the game. I actually left because later than I normally do because I didn't think anybody was going to be there. I thought everyone would be checked out, but everyone showed up for the game. The stadium was fucking packed, and everyone was there, Jack, fucking excited, ready to go. And the team's just so lifeless, man, that it just sucks the energy out of the building so fast. Like, because I don't know the Falcons' history of inept offenses in Falcons history, but man, watching a really inept offense where you literally don't think you're going to score when you get the ball. You're like, there's zero chance we score on this possession. We've had some bad Colts teams, but nothing where you completely doubt your team's ability to put any points on the board at all. Never seen anything like it. I wanted to lose the game, so I'm not that pissed about it. Again, when you show up to the game, you want to show fight and lose the game in a close one, not just come in and just be a lifeless fucking paperweight on the field. Anyway, 2 weeks left. It's a train wreck of a season. Whatever. Fuck it. That's all I got.
I thought Nick Foles got off easy, man. I haven't seen him getting roasted that much. I thought he looked completely unprepared. Now, I know he had some rust to knock off. It's his first real playing time in a couple of years, but even taking that into consideration, I thought he looked horrible. He did not look at all like he was ready to play NFL football the other night.
You just said he hasn't taken snaps in a few years. There's a reason. It's not that he's rusty. The reason is like he hasn't taken snaps in 2 years. He sucks. If he was good, he would have taken snaps in the last 2 years. So there's just so much blame to go around. He's the new guy in. It's like, why throw him to the firing line, you know?
So What's the story on why not go to Ellinger again? Because to me, man, like I think Matt Ryan, even though he's been not good at all, I think he's still the best quarterback they have in that building. But if you're gonna take him out, why not put the young guy in and at least let him get some playing time?
It would have been the same result with Ellinger. I get it. We still would have lost. I actually think now we are in tank mode, and I think they're like, who's the quarterback we play who's definitely losing? Like, there's zero chance that they squeeze out any wins, because mathematically, we could still get the number 1 pick in the draft.
Yeah.
So I think we're in like complete tank mode, top to bottom. I think everybody knows it, and I actually think they know Nick Foles is our best chance to not have any chance at winning.
Yeah, and that I guess that kind of segues right into mine because the 1-12-1 Texans came into Nashville and got the win against the majorly depleted Titans. And dude, the Texans are about to play themselves out of that first draft pick. Man, they're coming on strong as hell right now. Like they played the Cowboys tough, they played the Chiefs tough, and then they went out and they put a whooping on the Titans, man. So yeah, the Colts got to be like the Texans' biggest fans right now.
And we end the season with them. So if they win next week and we lose next week, it comes down to the actual game.
You guys got the toilet bowl.
And that's barring that the Bears win another game.
The Bears getting the number 1 pick has no effect on anybody because they're not drafting a quarterback. So really has no effect on anybody that needs a quarterback.
It's true.
There was a bunch of like Bears fans who are like, oh man, Texans are about to get us the first pick in the draft. So you can draft the same player you would drafted at 2 or 3. Like, I don't really see the issue with the Bears getting the number 1 pick, but
I don't see either. Stroud or Bryce Young being the type of prospects that teams are gonna bet the farm on. You know what I mean? Like, there's always a little bit of value with that number 1 pick, but I don't see teams giving up a real bounty to move up to the number 1 spot this year.
But as far as the Titans, like I'm not, even though they're in the division, the Colts don't really have rivals yet. It's only because the teams are never good at the same time.
Yeah.
There's always like one team in the division that's good and then they beat up on everybody else. So there's never been these division rivalries. So I don't root against them necessarily. But there is one Titans fan at work who, he was fucking bragging like crazy at the beginning of the season. Like, oh, fucking Titans are going to blow away the division. And it's like, as the season went on, he had more bragging rights, because it's like, oh yeah, the Titans are running away with the division. And now all of a sudden they're not even going to make the playoffs now. Jacksonville came on. So it's kind of, I like that. I like knowing that because I could tie it to one specific person that I'm glad is unhappy.
Yeah, the injuries started happening and there was nowhere to turn to, man. That's why that GM got canned, especially on the O-line. Once they lost a couple of their starting offensive linemen, it's just been a shit show on offense.
Yeah. And Jordan, before we get to this week's Falcons game, we got to tackle Desmond Ritter's debut with you real quick. Your thoughts? I saw like 97 yards passing. What are your initial thoughts as Desmond Ridder Desmond Ridder is the starter? Is he the future?
I mean, this team's not good is the first problem. And Arthur Smith did that dude no favors in his first game. Like, the first play of the game, he tried to throw a 48-yard pass down the field. The Falcons don't have anybody that can stretch the field other than London, and the ball wasn't going to Drake London. Like, I don't know what the fuck his game plan was the first time Ridder played, but it was completely different than the starts that I saw with Mariota. I mean, maybe part of that's he's a rookie, but I don't know. This week, I felt like he played a lot better. You could definitely tell the nerves kind of wore off, and he was kind of in his element in the second half, and they were actually making a comeback until Drake London fumbled going into the red zone. So that's 2 weeks in a row Drake London has fucked the Falcons, so that's really great. But I don't know, man. This is a bad football team. Like, they have a decent offensive line, and they have London and Pitts, and that's it. I mean, Grady Jarrett's good on the defensive line. AJ Terrell's a decent corner, but outside of that, this team is depleted. So I hate watching them lose, but I mean, at this point, there's no point in them winning. So I hope they lose out and we end up with a top 5 pick because fuck, we need everything right now.
That's where I stand with the Colts, but I feel like we'll give. So he went over the Titans, but I think Seth has one more Homer rant. It's back and it's not going away. the Josh McDaniels watch, because to remind our listeners, Seth, around week 4 or 5 of the season, whenever he started, called Josh McDaniels a great coach. And now the 6-9 Raiders, although still in playoff contention mathematically, are slowly losing grip on any chance at the playoffs. So, Seth, what are your thoughts on Josh McDaniels? How do you do this week? He doesn't even know. Oh, is he gone? Is he
frozen?
Oh man, all that we can't even mock him. Fuck. Let me go to the 2-man overlay till old fucking Hollernet comes back. Oh shit. Oh wait. Oh fuck. We got to remove him. There we go. Oh,
he said his computer just rebooted, so he'll be back.
Oh, it's fine. Anyway, well, we're not going to wait on him. We're just going to press on, and then we'll taunt him later.
Yep.
All right. So first, we'll talk about old JJ Watt, man. I think this is fair. Even though, like, he pretty much retired 5 years ago, he's actually only officially retiring now because he hasn't been at least relevant. I mean, he's been on the field, often injured like usual, but JJ Watt retiring. And when he was in his prime, man, that dude, one of the best defensive players I've ever seen on the field. Like, you felt like he was going to make a play, whether it be interception, fumble. It felt like every time he went for the quarterback, it was a fucking sack. But
dude, you know what's crazy is you just said like he hasn't had any good seasons lately. Like, which you're right, the last 3 years prior to this have not been good. Dude, I just looked in 14 games this year. He's got 9.5 sacks. That's got to be like, I mean, dude, he's 33 years old. Has been hurt his entire career. His arms, I mean, he's torn his biceps like 5 times. Like, dude, he's definitely a first ballot Hall of Famer. I don't even think it's even a question. I mean, the last 5 years have probably underrated him a little bit just because people remember what you've done for him lately. But that dude in the prime of his career was unstoppable. He was easily one of the best defensive players, 3-time defensive player of the year. Like, really tough to say anything but good things about JJ Watt.
We're just discussing JJ Watt and his retirement. We've given over our thoughts. What are your thoughts on JJ Watt and what he meant to the NFL in his prime?
Yeah, one of the best of all time. And it sounds corny, but like he really may have been an actual better person off the field. Go back to 2016 when there were those really bad floods in Houston. I forget what the final dollar amount was, but I want to say something like, in addition to all the money out of his own pocket he spent, he was able to raise like $15 million in donations for all the people of Houston that got just wiped out by that real bad flood. Hated any time, the couple, I was during his peak, I was still a Falcons fan. And, the couple of times the Falcons went against him, I was always dreading it because I knew he was going to fuck up whatever game plan we had. So, hell of a player, and he will be missed. And he's going out on top, man. I checked the stats just to see, and like I think he's got like 8 or 9 sacks this season, so he's still getting it done.
What Jordan was saying.
Yeah, just walking away to enjoy life, man. So good for him.
Yeah, I enjoyed JJ. I saw him play twice a year, pretty much his whole career. When the Texans, I probably didn't see him play outside of that much, but I think it was the Texans have only been good like 3 seasons in their whole history of their franchise. That's not his fault. He was always fucking bringing it, but
he was on all 3 of those teams.
All right, moving on from someone who announced their retirement to someone who fucking should announce their retirement. And we're going to go with old Russell Wilson. And I think we got to debate it. Is the Russell Wilson trade the worst trade in NFL history? And before we get into it, it's just funny that we're talking about it, and this is the same time that real articles are being written by journalists, like talking about Russell Wilson's contract. So CBS actually posted a good one. If the Broncos were to just cut Russell Wilson, just straight up cut him after the season, $107 million of dead cap charge. So basically, they're on the hook regardless if they cut him for like at least $65 million. I think the best case scenario is they can split it between like $40 million in 2023 or like 60 and then $67 million in like 2024. So I think they're on the hook for the next few seasons of $100 million cap, dead cap if they cut him. But I think they could split it up in different seasons. But I don't know. I don't know how they get out of it. So What do you
To
guys
me,
think?
man, it's all right. So the trade in hindsight, I'm like scratching my brain. I can't think of a trade in hindsight that's worked out worse than this. I'm not going to call it the worst trade of all time just because at the time, even though the Broncos were giving up a steep price, it still seemed like it could be an okay move, right? Like there were definitely some question marks around it, but I don't think anybody was straight up like saying like this, nobody was calling this the worst trade of all time when it happened. That being said, though, I think it comes down to who they hire as head coach, man. If they need to hire the head coach and if he's got a vision and a clear plan and says, I can salvage Russell Wilson, then let's ride it out. But at the end of the day, there's no use chasing bad money, right? Instead of dragging this thing out and setting your franchise back years, if you bring in the next coach and they say this dude just does not got it anymore, you might as well just eat it. And, like you said, you can work that cap. We've seen it. Teams can get creative with the salary cap. There's always ways to work around that, regardless of how bad it is. But I think you just start moving forward and just cut your losses.
I do think it's the worst trade of all time. Like Hawk just said, $107 million if they cut bait right now. They gave up 2 top 10 picks, 2 second-round picks that are top 10 in the second round. This pick's going to be top 5 unless they somehow miraculously win one of the last 2 games. Kansas City this week, that ain't going to fucking happen. I don't know, man. I think they got to hire a defensive coach no matter what they do because they have to build around the strength of their team, which is by far their defense. And then if I'm that coach, I'm fucking finding the best offensive coordinator money can buy and the best QB coach because, I mean, there's clearly something wrong with the dude. You just don't go from being – I mean, dude, he was still top 12 quarterback last year. You just don't go to that to being the worst quarterback in the NFL. Like, something happened. I don't know what it is. Maybe he prayed too much and said Broncos country, let's ride too many times. I don't know.
Go Broncos.
Something happened, man, because, dude, the dude still has talent. You can see it on certain plays that he still has talent. Like, it's not like every single player, like, Jesus, dude, this dude looks like...
Well, Seth, every time Zach Wilson makes a complete pass, it's like, dude, I think this dude has talent. Somebody should pick him up. Like,
I think they need
terrible
to quarterbacks
can make plays, athletic plays.
But Zach Wilson's still got a lot ahead of him, dude. Russell Wilson, he's got way more in the rear view than he does in the windshield.
So do you think when a trade like this happens, like the 2 GMs get together and they get together and they talk like men, like, all right, like Denver's GM is like, all right, dude, to Seattle's GM, man to man here. Why is he on the block? Why is Russell Wilson on a franchise quarterback seemingly in his prime? Why is he on the block? Tell me what I don't know. And they had that conversation. Do you think the Seattle GM's like, I don't know, man. It seems like he's lost the love for the game. Maybe he's lost the step. I don't know. And he's telling the truth. And the Broncos GM's like, well, maybe we can get something out of him. Or do you think the Seattle GM's like, I don't know, man. He's still great. We just, we're going to move in a different direction. Well, how do you think that conversation goes when it gets down to like, because Seattle knew whatever happened with them, we don't know. Seattle knew this was coming, or because no team, because it was looked at as the worst trade in NFL history last year, but from Seattle's perspective, I remember saying this is the worst trade I've ever seen for Seattle. Why would you get rid of a franchise quarterback? And now it's actually officially the worst trade in NFL history against the Broncos, or in Seattle's favor. So like, what did they know, man? And like, how do you not? Because he passes all the physicals, obviously. He's still Russell Wilson. He just can't play football anymore. It's fucking nuts.
I think Seattle capitalized on the kind of Cold War that had been brewing for a few years between Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson. I don't think anybody was really looking past that, and they just assumed that, it was time for those two to split up. And like you said, the numbers still look good enough that Russell Wilson kind of passed the sniff test, man. It's just the trade would have been bad enough. It's the fact that they did the trade and then gave him that contract extension right after, man, that just like it was already a dumpster fire, and then they just took a couple like fucking pounds of napalm and just like fucking carpet bomb that shit in there, man. Like just make it as bad as possible. It's just horrible, man. I don't know. One thing I do want to say, I think we need to give some flowers to Pete Carroll, man. Like, dude knew his shit. Like, he knew everybody for years. People have been saying, let Russ cook. He was like, no, you got to keep Russ boxed in. That's how he's his best. And if you go back, dude, a lot of people have played their best ball for Pete Carroll, man. Look at Geno Smith, what he's doing this year. Like, even though he's a defensive coach, I think he finds a way to kind of get in these quarterbacks' ears and help them out.
When I was listening to the Legion of Boom era players talk about Pete Carroll, so basically Pete Carroll, the way I understand it, has a bunch of go-to speeches, inspirational speeches that he uses year in and year out. And he says after like 5 or 6 years with the team, the shtick's played out.
Right.
And you're over it. And so now Pete Carroll's just getting in. He wants a whole new group of people who don't know the shtick. So maybe it'll get under their skin and inspire him to get him another Super Bowl. Who knows? But yeah, worst trade in NFL history. But again, in the defense of the Broncos, I wanted the Colts to make this trade. If the Colts would have made this trade in the offseason, I would have been fucking rejoicing.
Yeah, there were a lot of teams that were in the mix to get Russell Wilson. It's the Broncos thought they were a quarterback away from being a Super Bowl team, and obviously they were dead ass wrong on that.
Well,
This reminds me of like Markelle Fultz. I don't know if you guys know Markelle Fultz. He was awesome in college.
Yeah,
he got drafted number 1, and then he got to the NBA, and he literally forgot how to play basketball. It was the weirdest thing I'd ever seen in my life. They would show him in practice like his jump shot, and he just couldn't. He couldn't remember the form in which to shoot the basketball. It was crazy. And that's what it looks like with Russell Wilson. He just forgot how to play because he's still Russell Wilson. But anyway, I want to play a quick little game with you guys before we get into the top 5 draft order here. If you had to start a franchise going into you're taking over a franchise in the offseason, you have 4 options at quarterback you could choose from to lead your team next season. Who would you take? Gardner Minshew, Brock Purdy, Derek Carr, or Zach Wilson for next season, Seth? Who is it? Who's leading your franchise?
For next season, I don't think I'm going with old Glock Purdy, man. He's looked like the real deal so far, dude. Because if I'm running a franchise, I'm running the Kyle Shanahan offense all the way. I'm getting somebody that's going to run that system. So yeah, I go Brock Purdy. I thought about Zach Wilson. I did consider it, man. I wanted to say it, but I was like, I can't. That's a bridge too far.
All those guys are probably going to be there. We got Gardner Minshew, Brock Purdy, Derek Carr, Zach Wilson. I picked those 4 because I think all 4 of those guys are going to be on the market.
Okay, so I'm going to go Derek Carr just for this exact fact. Gardner Minshew just played good football behind the best offensive line in football with 2 of the best receivers in football. Now, granted, everybody's talking about if this is going to hurt Hurts for being an MVP candidate, which I think he's out now that he got hurt anyway. So I don't think that matters. Brock Purdy plays behind one of the most quarterback friendly offenses. And I just don't think he would do that somewhere else.
He's on a loaded roster, man.
And then Zach Wilson's absolute dog shit. I think the Jets with an average quarterback would probably have like 10 wins right now. Their quarterback is the reason they're not winning more games.
It's insane that they're as good as they are in that division and they have no quarterback. They can't even, they've switched. Normally teams that switch off a quarterback and go back to him, it's not good, not having a good season. They're actually doing all right. I think I'd go with Purdy, man, just because with Derek Carr, you know what you're getting, which is some great, some mediocre, some bad. Gardner Minshew, he's had streaks, but I don't know. Purdy seems like he's because Minshew, when he was playing good football, and keep in mind the Eagles lost that game, even though he played well, they did lose the game. So that's more of like a compliment to Hurts. Like Hurts probably would have won that game.
Yeah.
But where Purdy's stepping in on a team with really high expectations as a third stringer and seemingly not missing a beat. So I'm gonna go with Purdy. If the Colts had to go with one of those 4 for next year, I would pick one of those. But fortunately we won't, which brings us into the next segment, and we're just going to talk about the top 6, update the top 6 draft order here. So right now we have the Falcons at number 6, 5 and 10. And my question to you is, from what you've seen, like say the Falcons draft up and they're in the top 4. Do the Falcons look at a QB, or are you guys going to give Ritter another year and see if he's the answer? Or if there's a can't miss prospect you think you'll get in the top 5, do you swing for him? What do you do, Jordan?
The problem is I think everybody I think Bryce Young is the only quarterback in this draft that I would actually want to have as my franchise quarterback. I still don't think Will Levis is that good, and I damn sure am not trusting an Ohio State quarterback. So CJ Stroud's out for me on that. I don't think the Falcons end up in the top 4 because I don't think enough of the top 4 teams are going to lose in the last 4 weeks is the problem, or the last 2 weeks. So I still think they end up 5th or 6th, and I think the good quarterbacks are gone by the time they pick. So
What
I
you said
I don't think they're going to pick a quarterback. I do think that I need to see how Desmond Ritter plays the next 2 weeks too, just to kind of get an inkling of which way they're going, because their game plan is going to kind of tell you whether or not they trust this kid to do anything. So I don't know. If he calls another game like he did against the Saints, that doesn't give me much hope that they have any faith in Ritter. So if that happens, yeah, it's completely possible to take a quarterback.
Did you see those rumblings about Lamar Jackson might be interested in coming to the Falcons this offseason?
That's not rumblings. That's 100% a fact, because apparently he had said something to, I don't even remember who it was, but I had read that a couple weeks ago that he really wants to play there. So
Yeah, I'm sure the Ravens are going to franchise him, but it could be worth it, man, to just give up that haul of draft picks, man, and get him.
Yeah.
you give up whatever for Lamar Jackson. I mean, he's super young.
Yeah.
I wish the Colts would do that. So the Falcons, do they build around Ritter though? They go a money wide receiver if they're drafting 6th?
If it was me, I'd take one of the defensive linemen because, like I said, they have Grady Jarrett and they have nobody else. No one has less sacks in the NFL in the last 2 years than the Falcons. Since the beginning of last year, they have 37 sacks as a team. The next closest is 60, and it's the Raiders.
Jeez.
Their fucking defensive line is bad. Like they need to get an end or another tackle. Like I'm guessing they go defense in the first round, but I guess nothing would surprise me at this point.
All right. Number 5, my Colts. I think they're going to be 3rd. I think all that has to happen is Arizona squeeze out a win, Denver squeeze out a win.
So you're in good shape.
And Denver squeeze out a win, and then the Bears win out, and then the Texans win out. That's all it takes. But regardless, we're top 5. And the teams ahead of the Colts, Texans, they're taking a QB for sure. Bears, I don't think they do.
No, they're not.
Seattle,
that's a really big limb to go down that the Bears aren't taking a quarterback. Hawk, way to really put yourself out there.
I'm an intellectual. I approach the game intellectually. You know this. Seattle, I don't know. What do you guys think? Do they take a QB?
Yeah,
I think it depends on who's there. I think Pete Carroll's the kind of coach. I feel like he thinks he can win with kind of like a B level veteran. But if the right quarterback's there, yeah, you got to take him.
And
I mean,
the Cardinals,
you know who Seattle's going to end up getting? They're in the 3rd round. They're going to end up getting Hendon Hooker from Tennessee because he's hurt. Nobody's going to want him. That's who they're going to get. And they're going to have a franchise QB for the next 10 years, and they're going to be paying him nothing.
Yeah,
that's who I wanted the Colts to get, just because have that Tennessee connection with Manning. Maybe recapture it. In sports, you're always looking for that next Cinderella story, but it never happens because in reality, most professional sports, the best teams win, and there's really nothing that can be done about it. But I don't think the Cardinals take one.
The Colts prefer QBs of the white variety, so Will Levis it is.
In their defense, the most of the NFL does until recently. But I've heard Will Levis, I've never seen him play. And he's being always in every list, he's the number 2 quarterback taken, and we're always the number 2 team taking a quarterback. So I don't know. It's tough, man, because it's one of those years you have to have a QB for your fan base to get off your back. But at the same time, smart fans know it's like, God, you just don't want to take anybody with your, because once you take a QB in the top 5, you're committing most of the time 3 years to him, although there has been recent precedent set. Zach Wilson, Josh Rosen, of teams jumping ships super quick.
Yeah.
But, man,
yeah, those
so
QB
tough.
head coach hires, that sets the course of your franchise for 3 or 4 years, man, most of the time. So it's tough.
So I don't know. But that's the top 6 draft order. I don't expect a whole lot to change. Maybe I think those are the 6 teams. The order might fluctuate a little bit. But I think those are probably the 6 teams that are drafting in the top 6. But that'll bring us to the elite of the league, the playoffs. We'll run down where we're at on I just had it up too, I get so many fucking screens going on here that I can't bring it up here. All right. We'll start with the AFC here, man. currently, as it stands, we have the Bills with the bye. We have the Dolphins, number 7, going to Kansas City, the 2. Number 6, Chargers going to number 3, Cincy. Number 5, Ravens. And number 4, Jacksonville. I don't know about you guys, but this pretty much seems like the playoffs to me. I think this is probably the AFC. Maybe a different order. Like maybe the Chiefs jump into the bye. Maybe the Bengals do, but I think ultimately these are the 7 teams that make it. Do you see any changes in the future, Seth?
I think the Jets end up getting in there and knocking out the Dolphins, man. Dolphins got the Packers. The Dolphins we saw them just lose to the Packers. Tua's back in concussion protocol, so it might be Teddy Bridgewater playing this week, and the Jets are getting Mike fucking White back. So yeah, I think that Jets, Patriots, Dolphins kind of bubble there for that last spot in the AFC. I think the Jets end up coming out on top.
Mike fucking White, huh? How many players get that treatment where their middle name's fucking?
He's Western Kentucky Hilltopper, man.
Mike fucking White. That's probably the first time he's ever been referred to as that, at least in this pro days.
I'm not gonna lie to you. Pittsburgh, I know they played like shit Sunday night. Dude, for some reason it always seems like if it's close, they end up getting in at the end. It won't surprise me if they get the 7th seed. I
thought they played tough Sunday night, man. I thought that was a tough, scrappy game, dude. I mean, that was damn near a loser leaves town match between them and the Raiders, dude. I thought the Steelers looked okay.
I think the Dolphins are fucked. I don't think there's any way they're going to end up in the playoffs. Tua's not going to play this weekend, and if it's Teddy Bridgewater for the last 2 games, you're probably going 0-2, honestly. So,
and whoever the fuck you were just talking about, the Steelers play the Ravens and the Browns to end the season. So that division, Steelers always fucking bring it in divisional games. They're never a pushover, regardless if they're good or bad. And Tomlin doesn't get the respect he deserves as a coach. I could see that happening, but I just think the Dolphins would be one of the best teams I've seen that doesn't make the playoffs, as far as like having so many good players and being
at their
explosive.
peak this year. Yeah, they looked really, really good, man. Like whenever Tua first came back from the concussions, they were looking real tough. One other thing, the Jaguars Titans, that unless there's something weird happens with ties this week, that's going to be basically a division championship game in the last week of the season down in Jacksonville. So Titans look like shit, but Derrick Henry always has at least one game a year where he just goes nuclear for like 200 yards. So they're still alive. And a lot of times that game ends up coming against the Jaguars over the last few years.
Titans ain't making the playoffs. You win as a fake fan to the game. They can't win another game this season.
I love it. I love how that was the turning point.
That was their peak, dude. They looked awesome in the Thursday night game.
Your presence turned the team's fortunes.
They've lost 5 in a row, and Green Bay's won 4 or 5 since Seth went and watched that game.
Drunkenly talking shit to all those Packers fans, waving bye as they were leaving the game early.
I hope the Titans don't win another game until they have to play in Lambeau, and then you have to make the trek to Lambeau to break the curse.
Yeah.
To reverse the curse that you set in motion. All right, we got the NFC here. Eagles with the bye still, even though they did lose because old Gardner Minshew couldn't fucking bring it across the finish line. All right, we got the number 7 Commanders going to the 2 Vikings. The number 6 Giants going to the 49ers. And number 5 Cowboys heading to the number 4 Buccaneers. What do you think, Seth? Is that the lineup? Who's sneaking in?
I think that's pretty much going to hold, man. And dude, I would watch out for the Bucs, man. I watched that game freaking Sunday night, dude. Brady did it again, man. Somehow finds a way to come back at the end. Like that's. I forget what it was, another NFL podcast I was listening to, but they talked about, the red hot Cowboys are going to be going into Tampa Bay to face the Bucs. Like, what could go wrong? This shitty Bucs team going up against the red hot Cowboys. That would be like, Dallas fans have experienced it so much over the last 10 to 15 years. Like, I see them getting dropped in that first game. Like, I think Brady's winning one playoff game this year.
Real quick, I'm just going to list out because the Commanders are 7-7-1 in the 7th spot. And then there's 3 7-8 teams that have a realistic shot, and that's Seattle, Detroit, and Green Bay. So I would say if any one of those teams are going to sneak in, probably one of those 3. What do you think, Jordan?
I'm going Green Bay makes the playoffs. I don't think they're going to lose again this season. Detroit, As much fun
I told you.
It was fun.
I told you.
It was fun. It was fun while it lasted, but they got Minnesota, or no, they got Green Bay the last game of the season. That's probably going to be for a playoff spot. Well, I mean, Washington could back in because they got Dallas week 19 or 18, whatever it is now, and Dallas might not even be playing anybody because they might not have anything to play for. So I don't think it really matters who gets in, to be completely honest with you. Man, dude, if you're Minnesota, though, and Green Bay ends up getting in, that's who you got to play round one. God. Fucking good luck, partners.
All right, so that's going to bring me to a question here. Of the top 4 seeds right now, we got Buffalo, KC in the AFC. We got Philly and Minnesota in the NFC. Which one of those teams loses their first playoff game?
Minnesota.
Yeah, they've been living on the edge all season. I could see Minnesota making a run to the Super Bowl, or I could see them get bounced first playoff game. They have they're like the high variance team this year in the NFL. You never know what they're going to do.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think that Philly's running away with the NFC, man. So I guess it really doesn't matter. And they've made me, eat crow on that because I didn't believe in Philly till like week 11 or 12, maybe. Like all of us we also felt the same way about Minnesota, and I still think we all feel the same way about Minnesota, even though they do keep winning. We act like it's an indictment that they keep losing these close games when actually that's the sign of a really good team with grit, but we just can't buy into it. Why can we buy into Philly, but we can't buy into Minnesota?
So, all season long, I've been preaching to you guys, point differential is the key stat to tell how good a team is, not wins. Wins are overrated. Point differential is where it's at. The top 4 teams in the NFC, all right? The Eagles, plus 137. Cowboys, plus 131. The Niners, plus 145. The Vikings are plus 5. They are 12-3, but if you add up all the games across the board, they've outscored their opponents by a combined 5 points all season long. I'm not going to say they're phony because they do got like the clutch gene. They got a way of pulling it out, but it's just tough to bet on them winning, 3 straight tough playoff games to get to the Super Bowl playing that style of football.
The biggest problem for them is we've seen them get the piss beat out of them by Dallas and Philadelphia this year too. And they did come back, but they were down 33-0 to the fucking Colts. I don't think we need to say any more than that.
It's true. Because that's the thing that's lost in it. Like, everyone was like, oh, Minnesota's so great that they came back from 33 points. It's like, actually, no. They were down 33 points to literally probably the worst team in the league. Like, people need to focus on that more maybe than they do. But in the end, I think I might be with you on Green Bay. I think it'd be great because every year Rodgers comes in and the Packers are always the favorite to win it. They're like, oh, Packers are going to win the Super Bowl, and they always choke. So the year where no one has them picked to win, Rodgers comes back, brings them back from the dead, and they just get on a run and they win the Super Bowl the year no one ever expected them. So I'll go with Jordan there. The Packers.
The year they won the Super Bowl, they were the bottom seed in the playoffs.
Hold on, I'm not going that far. They might beat Minnesota, but that means if they advance, they're going to play Philly, and they are not beating Philly. Dude,
yeah, I didn't
Philly,
say you going to the Super Bowl.
34 on fucking Dallas's defense with Gardner Minshew. That team's a fucking machine.
No, I didn't say that they're going to, or imply that you said that. I was saying that I think that Green Bay is going to sneak in, and it would be great if Rodgers did that. I don't think it's going to happen. I just think it would be awesome to end his career. And I think regardless, he might retire, whether he goes out on top or goes out. At this point, he's not going out as bad as it seemed like he was going to go out. He's just going to go out with a mediocre season, which a lot of quarterbacks do. So there's a little bit of saving grace there. I think he's a first ballot Hall of Famer, regardless.
Yeah.
And I will never pick Detroit to make the playoffs because this is who they are. And what's hilarious is last year when the Colts were making their playoff run, we went on like a 5-game win streak, and everyone's like, the Colts are the team you don't want to face in the playoffs. The Colts are. And then as soon as we didn't make it, this fucking dickhead journalist wrote this article, and he's like, in 2 weeks, the Colts went from the team that nobody wanted to play in the playoffs to the team that no one's going to play in the playoffs. And that just sticks with me. And so that's how it is with the fucking Lions now. All these articles were being written like, oh, this is the team you don't want to face in the playoffs. And it's like, well, you're not going to, because they're not going to make it. So, but I think that wraps up. We'll get into the wizard part of the show here. crystal ball where we make our predictions. Next season, we're keeping track. This year was kind of thrown
definitely.
together. So
We had a
never
rotating cast too. Me and
Yeah,
Jordan didn't
yeah.
solidify our
It'll
spots
be
till about 4 or
more
5 weeks
next
in.
year. It'll be worked and it'll be definitely more solid groundwork, and we'll keep track because nobody really has to answer for any of their fucking shit picks. I'll let you guys know I picked Colts Rams Super Bowl. I'll own that. I wasn't the only one, so whatever. It happens, but it would be nice to where like week to week we get to call people out on how fucking terrible they are.
JBONE's going to be like, we'll have to keep the competition between the three of us because JBONE's going to be out of the mix after like 2 weeks.
It's the carbon black mines, man. He's got to go down there and get all that out for us. All right. We got some Thursday night football here. Cowboys at Tennessee, at your boys, Seth.
Cowboys, man. I think Tennessee might actually rest some people this Thursday night just because like there's nothing good can come out of even playing the Cowboys tough. I mean, I think momentum is really overrated at professional sports.
You think the Titans are going to rest people when they have to win out to make the playoffs?
They don't have to win out. As long
yes,
as
they do.
I don't think they do. Let me look at the standings real quick. If they win, they'll end up tied with the Jaguars, and they got the.
They need help to get in, though. Like they need help to get in the playoffs. So of course
they don't. No, so
out.
them and the Jaguars are tied right now. So even if the Jaguars win this week and the Titans lose, the Titans only be down one game going into that last week. And if they end up with the same record, Titans got the tiebreaker. So this, like I said, if the Jaguars end up tying or something happens, like it could get weird. But I think they rest people, don't get anybody else hurt, and go in fully loaded. That last game of the season against the Jaguars.
That might be your dumbest take ever on the show.
Why would you not rest them? This game is meaningless.
No, it's not meaningless, dude.
How is it not meaningless?
You're 7-8 in a playoff push. You got to win every fucking game.
But the playoff push is for the division. They're not going to get the wild card.
What's that?
They're not going to get a wild card. Their playoff push is just for the division.
I don't know. I just dispute that. I would be shocked if the Texans or the Titans rest one player.
Hey, man.
Do the Titans have anyone left to rest?
Yeah, they don't really have anybody left to rest anyways. Most of the guys they rest are already hurt.
The Titans are playing their whatever roster.
Just watch. If you see on the injury report tomorrow, Derrick Henry starts coming up as like a game time decision, just know you heard it here first.
Probably because he's had 900 carries this season is why he's a game time decision, and not because they're resting people. His knee's blown out.
The Cowboys are winning this game. We don't even really need to discuss it.
I agree with you, and they would win regardless if Tennessee rest players or not. I just think if I'm a Titans fan, I'm like, do not rest players. And I don't think they're out of contention for the wild card because
they're not.
The wild card right now is 8-7. The Titans are 7-8.
Mathematically, they're not. But with Malik Willis as your quarterback, like it's not happening. They need to pin all their hopes. Any good plays, don't show them on film. They need to just be going all in for week 18 against the Jaguars.
Let's just call it what it is. The Titans are not winning another game.
They're not winning
especially
the game.
With Malik Willis as your starting quarterback.
True.
That's a problem.
They're not sitting people. I stand by that. All right, we got the Cardinals going to the Falcons.
Oh, God.
Probably Falcons win.
I feel no confidence in this, but I do think they're going to end up winning this game. I don't know how, but the fucking Cardinals are terrible. Dude.
Aren't they on their third string QB also?
They are.
Isn't McCoy out for the year?
Yeah.
They're playing Trace McSorley. Like, what the fuck are we doing here? Like, the Falcons, I'll pick them. I have zero confidence in it.
Trace McSorley sounds like somebody that would be wrestling on like AEW Dark or something.
That's going to be a trivia question at Falcons games, the Jumbotron. Who did Desmond Ridder win his first start again? Who was the opposing quarterback for the team that Desmond Ridder won his first game? That's going to be the fucking answer. No one's going to know who it is. I'm going to go with Arizona. No, I'm going to go with Atlanta, and because I'd like Arizona to lose another game, so the Colts move up in the draft. So
that's not how that works. The Cardinals would need to win, dipshit.
That's what I mean. I'm going Arizona then. I'm stoned. Style and grace. I need the drop here. All right. I'm going the fucking Cardinals then, man. Fuck you guys.
Need them to lose another game. No, that's not how that works.
It's true. If they win, then they don't lose. That's why you guys are here. So where are we across the board?
Nope, we went with Atlanta. You went with Arizona.
That's true. All right. Carolina going to Tampa. Fuck. Carolina's showing some life, man.
I think it's another Tom Brady special, dude. I feel like they're gonna look like shit for 56 minutes, and Brady finds a way to get it done. Bucks win.
Yeah, dude, I'm not putting any momentum into what Carolina's doing. They still have Darnold as their quarterback. Is anybody really picking Sam Darnold against Tom Brady? Like, no, Bucks will win.
I think the Bucks also. I think Todd Bowles is a bad coach, though, and I don't know how he keeps getting work.
Dude, Todd Bowles and Byron Leftwich both fucking suck, and they're both on that staff.
And Leftwich is always a candidate thrown out there for head coaching jobs. You always hear his name out there. So they have two inept coaches that are should be unemployed.
Yeah.
Oh, we got the Chicago Bears going to the Detroit Lions. I'll start. I'm picking the Bears because fuck the Lions. Never pick the Lions to win. Ever.
I'm just going to say, this is the one thing I'm going to say about that. I would 100% pick the Bears, but I think the Bears game plan right now, if you've watched them or seen any of what they've been doing the last 4 weeks, they're trying to lose. Like, they're making games respectable, and then all of a sudden in the fourth quarter, they just start calling, here, Justin, go out there and throw the ball 30 yards every play. Like, that's not how they're going to win. So I'm going to go with the Lions on this one.
Yeah, I think Lions win too. I think this type of situation is tailor-made for the kind of coach Dan Campbell is. After they got just manhandled on Sunday, gave up 300 yards rushing, I think he's just going to be on that team's ass all week and have those guys fired up and ready to go get the win against the Bears.
No, I love how every week it's different with Dan Campbell. Like some weeks it's like he's fired, not going to make it the week. Then the next week it's like Dan Campbell, the way he plays, no chance Detroit loses.
I think he's a good coach, like week to week. Long term, I don't think he's ever your answer, dude. But like I told you, if I had like a single game with like, you know, my family's life on the line, I'd think about Dan Campbell just because I know like he's good at firing the guys up for 1 week. But I don't think he's not an X's and O's guy, man. And those guys got a short shelf life.
I want the Lions to win also, so them and Green Bay have the same record going into Week 18, and it's just an actual fucking showdown for the 7th seed.
Yeah, that would be great.
I'm rooting for whatever results this week lead us to the most exciting Week 18. That's what I'm hoping for also.
All right, well, so we're going with Chicago across the board, all of us.
Yep.
We're going
with the Lions, you
I know.
Right, move on.
I know. That was a joke. All right. The Browns at the Washington football team.
Dude, I think the Browns win. I'm here. Carson Wentz might be coming back in because Heineke's hurt or something. I think the Browns win, dude. Never bet on Carson Wentz.
Oh, I'm with you on that. He should be on the line.
I'm gonna go Browns as well. Man, a lot of people haven't talked about it, but since Deshaun Watson came back, he's like the number 31 rated quarterback in the NFL. Like, he's been really bad in 3 weeks. So we'll see what happens next season, but that is not looking good for all the money they got to pay him. So, and it is the Browns. So would anybody be surprised if Deshaun Watson's the worst quarterback in the NFL next year?
He gets a little leeway though, because there's definitely some rust there, man.
Dude,
like
there hasn't been flashes, dude. Like it's the same thing. Like I said about Nick Foles, man. Like even taking into account the rust, like you still think you're going to see a handful of plays a game. You're like, okay, yeah, that looks like the Deshaun Watson I know. Like, dude, I think he's not getting the massages anymore, dude. I think those massages were the fucking key to his success, dude. He's probably gone fucking cold turkey on those because he's so scared to even go out and get a fucking rub and tug nowadays, man. That he can't even get his fucking mind right.
You just got to get a non-disclosure agreement typed up. So every time you get a massage, she signs it, and then you're good to go.
Just get you like 4 or 5 chicks in the rotation. You don't need to have 50 fucking masseuses or whatever we call them, massage therapists, whatever they are, dude. You don't need that many, man.
That's fine. You just need one good one.
Get a non-disclosure and make her sign it in semen.
Wow.
Yeah, it'll hold up in court. All right, we got the Broncos going to the Chiefs.
Who'd the Broncos put in as their interim head coach? Does anybody know?
Doesn't matter.
I didn't
really.
see it.
Is that the deciding factor for you?
Dude, I think
game?
it could come. I think it could come up, man.
Dude, the Chiefs have not been playing well either.
There is that too, because the only game Jeff Saturday's won is his first game. So there always is that thing though, a history.
You get a spark, man.
Still.
Those guys are coming in, busting out all the trick plays. But Jerry Rosberg, I don't even know who that is, so I'll go Chiefs. I probably would have picked the Chiefs regardless, even if it was like, the ghost of Vince Lombardi coming in. But, there is a history of those interim coaches coming in and giving a big spark for 1 or 2 weeks. But Chiefs win.
I mean, it's only been, what was that, 2 weeks ago that the Chiefs made the Broncos offense actually look like they could actually field an offensive team. And the Chiefs are not playing well at all right now. I still think they win, but I think it's actually closer than 14. Yeah, it'll be closer than that. Hawk?
I think he stunned Hawk into silence, man. I don't know what we do if Hawks froze up and we're not, dude. I didn't even know the show could keep going.
Are we still here?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're back.
I didn't know if I get kickoff, if you guys could finish out the show or not. Good thing I keep my hotspot here, my phone, so when the house internet gets weak, I can always just flip to this. And it held broken VCR a couple times, so it worked on here.
Nice.
Anyway, did we move on to another game? Or
Yep,
go
to the next game.
We
just
picked the Chiefs.
We all picked Chiefs.
All right, we all picked the Chiefs. Here we go. Colts, Giants, picking them. Get
Giants.
mine out of the way. Fuck them.
Giants
win.
I was going to be at this game. I had planned to go to this game, but now I would never waste the money to go to there. So Giants. All right, we got Jacksonville at Houston.
Jacksonville.
Miami at New England. I think the winner of this game slides in to the 8s. Miami will keep it, or New England, if they win, they slide in there.
Yeah, it's another loser leaves town match, dude. I think the Patriots win, man. Patriots ended up playing the Bengals pretty tough on Sunday. If it wouldn't have been for that fumble at the end, they might have won that game. Yeah, I think Belichick cooks up a good game plan, and they find a way to get it done.
Yeah, not having Tua, which I'm guessing he doesn't play. How the fuck could they clear him after everything he's been through this year? I just don't see how anybody can think that that's a good idea to clear him. He's been concussed 3 times this season. There's just no way you can possibly throw that guy out there. I know he's got a fucking coconut as a head, but there's just no way. I'm going Patriots.
I'll go with Patriots, even though that dirty Mac Jones. Have you guys seen the video of this supposed dirty play?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, where he did that. He just, for whatever reason, took that guy's knees out behind the play.
Throws his body at that guy's knees, who's nowhere near the play.
Whatever you think of the penalty, the fine was such an arbitrary number, $11,119.36 or some bull. It was
weird.
The dumbest thing ever.
That's what they have to fine you, because it's based on your salary and what offense it is. That's how they have to do it. That's why.
Nice.
I did not know that. That's interesting, because it felt like a very in the NFL, even rookie contracts, you find a player like $11,000, they're at it's okay, never do that one again. Who gives a fuck? $11,000. Anyway, I'm gonna go with New England. I think Mac Jones goes down in the first quarter. Zappy comes in and leads the Patriots to the playoffs. That's my prediction.
If not all the way to the Super Bowl.
If not all the way, we got the second coming of Tom Brady.
First ever active Hall of Famer, man. That's what it's gonna. That's Zappy's destiny.
The one thing I truly want to happen for next year is Bailey Zappi to be on the Raiders with Josh McDaniels as his coach. That would make me the happiest person on the planet.
That's going to be the most tragic episode of Long Balls ever, because, if it happens while we're live on the air, you're just going to see my head just explode, dude. Brain matter all over the screen, man.
You'll be attending Raiders games as a fake fan at that point.
I will be flying out to Vegas. I will get season tickets. I will get some sort of frequent flyers credit card. I'll be flying out to Vegas every single weekend.
Let's be honest. He won't do that.
Yeah. If he didn't have kids, he totally would.
Dude, the Raiders could be playing an hour from his house, and I know Seth, he'd be like, nah, I'll just watch it in the backyard.
Matt Streams is back.
Yeah, Matt Streams is back, baby.
All right, we got the Saints going to Philly. Any word on Hurts? Is he back?
I mean, the line is 7, so I'm guessing Vegas thinks he's playing this week.
If Hurts is playing Philly.
It's in New Orleans?
No,
nope.
It's in Philly.
It's in Philly.
It's in Philly, yeah. I think they win even with MINSHEW.
Yeah, I think Philly wins this game, wraps up the number 1 seed, and then does not play anybody next week.
They'll be joining the Titans. People just sitting their stars. during a playoff push. Here we go. We got the Jets going to Seattle.
Jets. Mike fucking White is back.
Mike fucking White going to
Jets
Seattle to the
Jets
12th
win,
man.
baby.
Under Mike fucking White's play.
Yeah, every time they, I mean, even on Thursday night, man, when they put in Streveler, dude, all of a sudden they started freaking, the offense looked better, man. Like, they just don't play good when Zach Wilson's in there. I think Mike White's back, the Jets get the win.
Jordan?
I already said Jets win. Mike fucking White.
Oh, I thought you were just making the acknowledgement that he's the quarterback.
No, Jets are gonna win.
Okay, I'm gonna go with Geno in Seattle. I think 12th man's too much for old Mike fucking White, and I think Geno. I think if they win, they'll at least be tied for the still being contended in the playoffs.
Yeah, they'll be in the mix.
Yeah, all right. I'm gonna go Seattle and Geno. All right, Niners at Vegas.
I hate going against my boy Josh McD, but Niners are just a machine right now. They're gonna win.
Yeah, there's no way the Niners. I seriously don't think the Niners lose again. I mean, obviously in regular season, I don't think they lose these next 2 weeks. So, gonna go into the playoffs on a 10-game win streak.
I will say it's tragic that the Raiders have moved to Vegas, because when the Raiders were in Oakland, you could always count on a Niners-Raiders game to have like half a dozen brawls in the stands, a couple people getting stabbed, at least like 15 arrests. And I just don't think it's going to be the same atmosphere this weekend.
That's tragic that people aren't going to get stabbed this weekend.
Yes, dude. As an NFL fan, I want the violence, man. They've already toned down so much violence on the field over the last 10 years. We got to get it from somewhere.
Do you really think there won't be stabbings in Vegas?
I mean, there might, but not as many as it would if this was straight Bay Area versus Bay Area.
So I went to the Raider Stadium twice. Once when we were good and they were not. It was the last game of the year. It was actually Peyton Manning's last regular season game ever. And we rolled them. I had no trouble because everyone sucked. They knew they sucked. They didn't care. And then when I went there the year they were good, people started more shit with me. They ended up winning the game, but during the game, they were mean to me. So Raiders fans are no joke. That's why my goal is to see every stadium in the NFL, but I'm absolutely saving Philly till dead fucking last because I've heard that they're legit fucking assholes there. But I'm going to go with the Niners, even because I picked Vegas to sneak into the playoffs. And obviously, see, this is what happens when you put your faith in people you know suck. Like, yeah, they suck, but I think they can do it this week. Got to stop that mentality. If you suck, you suck. Never pick you. And that's how I am with the Raiders now. All right. Ooh, the Battle of LA. We got the Rams at the Chargers. SoFi decked out with the lightning bolts.
I think Chargers rock them, man.
Yeah, Chargers.
I know Justin Herbert is a great QB. I think Colin Cowherd even said, like, there's 5 QBs in the league that if you don't have one of these 5 QBs, you're on the phone looking for a QB. And he listed fucking Josh Allen, Mahomes, Burrow, Lawrence, and Herbert. And I watched Herbert play last night. He's good. I'm not saying he isn't a good young franchise quarterback, but I think a lot of it's his potential, people, because he's not. I don't think he's at the level of those other 4 guys yet, or those other 3. I don't think he's going to be like a Burrow, Mahomes type player. I don't think he's going to be on that level. I think he's be like more like a Phillip Rivers. It seems like the Chargers kind of get stuck with these quarterbacks that are good, and he might put up Hall of Fame numbers, but is he going to be the type of quarterback that wins you a Super Bowl? After watching Herbert live, he dropped a little bit in my book, personally.
I think his coach is holding him back a little bit. I think if he had an offensive-minded coach, that would help a lot. But, yeah, I'm not quite as high on him as other people are. I remember at the start of the season, I couldn't even say his name right. So
it's true.
Dude, they can't the Chargers can't even run the ball. That's their biggest fucking problem. Like, dude, Herbert has to do everything for that team. Like, it's just not a good scenario.
But I will take the Chargers this week, and they are going to make the playoffs this year. So that's good for them.
Yeah, they clinched.
Yeah. All right. Oh, man, this is actually a pretty good game here. Minnesota going to Lambeau. Hopefully no fake Vikings fans show up there.
I think Packers win this game, man. I think Aaron Rodgers with nothing to lose is pretty dangerous. And yeah, they're playing loose. They're playing confident. Packers win.
If you had to guess, if I told you a 12-3 Vikings team was going to a 7-8 Packers team, what do you think the line would be for the game?
Knowing that the home team gets 3 just for being the home team, I'm going to say it's a pick 'em, and it's going to be like -3 Green Bay. Or so it'll be a pick 'em because I'd say pick 'em.
It's -3.5 Green Bay.
Okay, 3.5. Okay.
That should not be the line. So, yeah, I'm going Packers.
I think I'm with you. I think Aaron Rodgers pulls it out. Seth, did you pick? I can't remember.
He picked Packers.
I'm stoned. I already forgot. All right. Steelers at Baltimore. Another game that actually ended up being a pretty monster game. A lot of good games for placing this year. So the NFL did a good job inadvertently of having all these games.
Well, this one got flexed. It was supposed to be Chargers Rams Sunday night.
I think it's going to be a classic AFC North battle, and Steelers win a low-scoring game, 13-10, 16-13, something like that. But I think the Steelers find a way to grind it out and get the win.
I thought Harbaugh's comments this week about Lamar were kind of telling. The last couple of weeks he's been given injury updates. This week he just said we're hoping to have him back. Dude, I got a feeling Saturday morning we're going to wake up and the Ravens are going to be like Lamar Jackson's playing tomorrow night. And if he plays, I don't think they lose. I think the Ravens win this game.
Yeah, with Lamar they win, but I'm assuming he's not playing.
I think the Steelers somehow pulled out little tiny hands, might be the franchise in Pittsburgh. We'll see. He's proven all those draft pundits wrong. All right. Oh, game of the week on Monday night.
By far.
Man, monster game.
This might be game of the season to this point.
For sure. This one, Buffalo going to Cincy. We got Buffalo currently with the bye in the AFC, and the Bengals are 1 game back. So if they win this game, they'll have the tiebreaker. I don't know. And then if depending on KC,
the Bengals beat the Chiefs also. So the Bengals got it, man.
Yeah, but KC would have to lose another game for Cincy to overtake them. Whereas they control their destiny against Buffalo here. So I'll say I'm going to take Burrow, man. I think he's just built. Seems like he's the type of quarterback that's built for this time of year. His swagger gets it done against top teams. Like he owns the Chiefs, so he's known for bringing it in games like this. It's in Cincy. I'm going to take Cincy.
Yeah, it was the big comparison that we heard that last year at LSU, and I think it holds true, man. It reminds me of Brady, just the little bit in the way he plays, but just kind of the way he carries himself, and just the confidence he has out there in the field that he's going to find a way to win. And I think they get it done, man. I think the Bengals beat the Bills.
I do think this is probably going to be the best game of the season. I really do. Just because both these teams are rolling right now. I think this is a game Buffalo needs to win more than Cincinnati, though. I think Buffalo needs the 1 seed. I'm going to pick Buffalo because I just think they need this game more than Cincy does.
It's weird that you say that because I agree with you. Because even though Josh Allen's still super young, it feels like this Buffalo window, because we've been talking about Buffalo for a few years. Is this their year? Is this their year? Whereas in Cincy, they literally didn't even enter into the conversation until around week 11 of last season.
Yeah.
So Cincy still has a few more years of taking some tough losses in the playoffs, but still being competitive before there's that rumblings of can Burrow win the big one, where I feel like it's already happening in Buffalo.
To me, it feels like this is, for this core of Buffalo, it feels like this is their peak year. You know what I mean? Yeah, they might still be able to win it all next year, but I don't feel like they're going to have a better roster than this for the next, 3 or 4 years. Because between the salary cap and players aging out and stuff, I just feel like it's got to happen for the Bills this year.
The craziest thing for Buffalo is, I heard it the other day on NFL Live or something, they have their entire core locked up because they paid them all before they became superstars. So, their entire core is locked up for the next 4 years.
It's crazy because that means their whole core is young, probably, but it feels like their window is, I don't know. We're probably basing that on nothing except we feel like it's probably closing.
Yeah, I feel you though, man. I get that vibe too that you mentioned, man. I totally get that.
Cincinnati's got 1 more year before they have to pay everybody. So next year is their last year before everybody's got to get paid. Dude, if Seattle showed us anything, it's you need to win when your QB's on a rookie contract, because once everybody gets paid, you're fucked.
Yeah.
But we say that, but I feel like every past Super Bowl winner of the last few years has been with a quarterback who's not on a rookie deal, who's getting paid baller amounts of money.
I agree with you, but here's the thing. Kansas City, I think there was more behind them trading Tyreek Hill than just the fact that he didn't want to be there. They needed to unload somebody with a ton of money, which, I mean, it was him, which was weird to all of us, but I don't know, man. I feel like it gets to a point where you have to figure out a way to move somebody to get you back under the cap, and that was their way to get under the cap. So,
and he's a child beater. So I mean, if you're gonna get rid of somebody, you might as well get rid of a fucking known child abuser.
I mean, the Saints support pedophiles, and they're still in the NFL. So I don't know what you want me to do with that.
Well, they're in decent. If you're in decent salary cap shape, you can still make a lot more, dude.
It's true. Hey, man, if they're on the field, their pass shouldn't come into play. It's the NFL's business to keep them off the field. That's just
your amount of salary cap room that kind of dictates where how tight your morality scale is and stuff, man.
I got you.
It's true. Anyway, is anyone still in fantasy? We're not even going to play the drop because I think it's all over for everyone, right?
I am in the championship game this week.
All right. So you got one team left. Championship game. What's the buy-in in this league?
This is my $200 league. So I did a side bet with a guy. It was $500 if I finished higher, $500 if I ended with more points. I hit that already, and I won the $700 for a regular season. So I'm already plus $1,500 in this league. Another $400 if I win on Sunday.
Long balls party. If Jordan's coming in for the fucking Rumble, man, it's on him. Everything. Buffalo Wild Wings, the pay-per-view. It's on Jordan. You heard it.
I wish I could be there. I wish I could be there.
Oh, it changed. I thought you were coming in for the Rumble.
Well, I might have to go to Dallas for work that weekend now, man. So.
Oh my God. So I'm hearing this live on the air too.
I think I should be back in time for the actual Rumble, but yeah, I don't think it's going to work out for Jordan. I don't think it's going to be worth it for Jordan to make the trip.
Fucking lame. Anyway, did you place any bets, Jordan? Did you make any money?
I did some betting this weekend. Christmas weekend is always like my lightest weekend for betting. I went 3-3 in bets, so nothing out of the ordinary this week.
So you didn't? Your kid still got Christmas.
Oh, I make sure that's locked up long before I start putting my bets in.
Okay.
Well, I think that's it, fellas. At the dog tracks the night on Christmas Eve, too, trying to win.
You guys, any other thoughts? Any last thoughts on this epic NFL week we had?
It's been a really fun NFL season, and I'm excited for these last 2 weeks, man, to see how it all shakes out.
I feel like it's been a moderately okay, entertaining NFL season.
I think there's been a lot of close games, dude. I feel like it's been like exciting finishes almost every week.
If the Colts aren't good, the NFL sucks, Seth.
Yeah. Think about HOCH.
Yeah, exactly. The world revolves around me.
They've at least been interesting, though. They haven't been boring. They've at least been interesting bad and not just boring bad. I mean, you could be the Texans.
Yeah, that's true. All right, fellas. Next week, we'll be here again discussing 1 week closer to the playoffs. See you next week.